welcome to another edition of the Torn Quadcast. I am your host, Elliott Serrano, Chicago's King of Geeks, and known as the L Train at WRMN Studios. I am joined once again by my co-host, Marc Fishman. We need to come up with a nickname for you, Marc.
You could call me the Metro Electric Train, because that's what I have to take downtown.
I like that, the Metro Electric. That'll work. All right, so when we last spoke, we were talking about the Royal Rumble, which we hadn't seen yet,
Correct.
as well as some AEW things and comic books.
We talked a little comics. We talked a little, we talked about the Superman rights controversy, then the Captain America apparent controversy.
So if you missed that episode, you can go to the WRMN radio YouTube page and you'll find that show on there. If this is your first time seeing or listening to the Torn Quadcast, the Torn Quadcast is a show where we talk about sports, entertainment, sports, and entertainment. So yes, we will talk about professional wrestling and other sports, as well as different types of entertainment, movies, comic books. Heck, we might even talk video games. We've never talked about video games.
True.
Is your household big on video games?
Yes, it is. I'm fairly certain my children only know me as the guy who controls how much time they can play them.
There we go. All right. Well, that's what today we are going to talk about. Again, the Royal Rumble. And yes, another big thing that happened in comic books was the Fantastic Four teaser trailer came out this week and has already generated some hype. Okay, on the one hand, it was a teaser, right?
Yes.
On the other hand, they hyped the teaser so much.
They did. Yeah, they know what they're doing, and yeah, they definitely hyped it pretty hard, and people are cutting this thing up. It's barely 90 seconds, and I'm fairly certain I saw YouTube the other day that claimed 81 Easter eggs already.
Oh, wow.
Already.
Okay, all right. I have not watched any reaction videos. I say what we should do on the next Torn Quadcast is record our own reaction video to the reaction videos.
I could be down for that. I like the inception.
There we go. All right. So anyway, let's jump into the Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble 2025 took place in Indianapolis. I actually had a friend who attended the Royal Rumble. She brought her young son to it. Had never been to a WWE event. And those tickets were pricey. I was looking at some of those prices.
Yeah, they've continually gone up on those. And also, by the way, this is supposedly the most watched WWE special event in history.
It's always the most watched or biggest something in history. I don't understand how Triple H at the post-event press conference makes all these announcements. Largest attendance ever. Largest gate ever. It's like it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Does that mean they keep inflating the prices? What's going on here?
I'm pretty sure they count if you're over a certain weight, you get counted twice. That's part of it. The fact that they're in Indianapolis, and then I think they were in Lucas Oil Stadium, I suppose. So they had all that, and then I bet you they also counted anybody that was just in downtown Indianapolis. Just milling around. Yeah, and they said, hey, have you ever heard of the Royal Rumble? And they're like, yes, you're in. You're in. But I guess it's from what they've said, the apologists are already hyping that it's because of the Netflix, because it's no longer, you just pay for Netflix and you get all the WWE events. So you get the Royal Rumble was there. You didn't have to do a pay-per-view. So it had more casual viewers, sort of like the first episode of Raw. You get like the people going, oh, it's a big deal. I could get there for free.
Outside of
Ish.
the U.S., you got it on Netflix. Inside the United States, you still needed Peacock for that.
Oh, okay.
And I will say, yet again, the Peacock signal not great.
Hmm.
And actually, when I tried watching the latest Raw, even afterwards, I couldn't. There was some degradation to the signal, or to the transmission Raw. It looked like crap, and I was like,
Oh yeah, that was a.
I kept
They
quitting
said
it after a while. Yeah.
yeah, a couple of people said that. I mean, I guess they'll eventually get through the issues, but I mean, it was an interesting event overall. Only four actual matches
Yes,
for the entire thing.
and the Royal Rumble main match was the men's Royal Rumble was the longest match in recorded WWE history. The thing
Interesting.
went for like 80 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, with only like what 10 of them mattering.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I will say that it was cool. The beginning was pretty cool. If they're doing anything now with the Royal Rumble, see, I remember when the Royal Rumble was just like a fill-in type of deal. It
Yeah,
was everyone got in the ring, and then it'd be like a mosh pit, and people would just start getting tossed out. And with the Royal Rumble, like they are doing with War Games, Survivor Series War Games, they've actually started incorporating more storytelling into the match overall. So
yeah.
yes, in the very beginning, you had that great kickoff with Rey Mysterio and Penta.
Yes. I will point out though, and maybe this is just I'm looking at this through whatever the opposite of rose-colored glasses are. It felt a little iffy to me that the way this was booked, it was like you had Ray and Penta, and then in as many as the next five wrestlers, it was like, hey, can we just get all of the Latin people out of the way? Just
well,
get them
well,
in quick.
all the luchadors, all the folks who had been, and it's like we want to work together.
Yes,
You,
and
we want,
it's this kind of thing where it almost takes me out of it a little bit because there's supposed to be some form of chance to this. It used to
yes,
be
yes, yes.
some former versions of the Royal Rumble. They would actually show wrestlers kind of going to the tumbler and
Yeah.
pulling out their number and reacting. And that's the other thing too, that this is, I think, I don't want to say it's probably for what, the last 10 years now that the winner of the Royal Rumble gets a main event at WrestleMania.
Or
So
it's supposed to get a shot at the WWE or World Heavyweight Championship, yes.
right,
Or actually, you're right. It is just the main event at WrestleMania, and they've even intimated in some cases that a challenger might decide to go after the U.S. title or the Intercontinental title, but it has to be a main event at WrestleMania.
right, but that would be really ridiculous if you won the Royal Rumble and you're like, that's it, European champion, I'm coming for you. Yeah,
I want the
it's
Uafala. I want the Uafala from Roman Reigns.
yeah. Somebody get me the WWE Speed title out of the garbage. I'd like to. I want to have the fastest main event in WrestleMania history. Now, we could kind of
that might actually work now that I think about it.
any way to just make a record book, right? But I mean, I don't say if you want to dive to the men's, but we could go through the other matches. I wouldn't say that there were any surprises, but I would point out that in the women's Royal Rumble match, which kicked off the show, not so easy to predict who would actually take that unless you've been watching all of the vignettes.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I will say also when you hear that Charlotte Flair's back, that the only thing that got me about the women's Royal Rumble is they seriously they did not spend enough time building up the stories throughout the week and through the different different episodes of Raw and SmackDown to the women's Royal Rumble like they did the men's Royal Rumble.
Which is par for course. Sadly, I mean they've been giving the ladies and the women's division as a whole a lot better attention, a lot better focus. They have amassed a great roster across all three brands.
Yeah.
And I know that one of the stories coming out of this is did not catch her name, and I don't watch NXT very often. So one of their stars was in the Rumble for almost the entirety of the match. And that was a good shine on her. It was good to see Jordan Grace. Now that she's finished up at TNA, it looks like she's going to make her way into the WWE officially. She had a great spot with Piper Niven that I saw, to showcasing that, we have yet another female powerhouse on their roster, which is great because they need some more between Raquel Rodriguez, Rhea Ripley, Piper Niven, Nia Jax, and now Jordan Grace. You've got like a good evening of the field. It's not just like one wrestler who could pummel the rest of them and then a bunch of athletic-y, flippy type. So now they've got good, show.
Yeah, don't forget Bianca Belair and
yes. Oh, and Jade Cargill.
Jade Cargill. I mean, who
yes.
I was like, man, where has Jade Cargill been?
I think she's taking time off, and there was some mouth breathers on Twitter that were poking at her and saying this is not the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to, go at it full time. And I think she's literally taking PTO. And she tweeted from the beach. She's like, I don't know how y'all do it, but I'm just going to stay here. And you can be mad. She doesn't seem to care.
Well, which is a thing that actually has been, what is not a staple, but it's something relatively new in the Paul Levesque or Triple H era, where you have these wrestlers. They're not doing as many house shows, or in fact, they've gotten rid of the majority of house shows. It's mostly television, and these wrestlers are getting more time at home.
Yeah,
because again, you don't need to be. I mean, Vince McMahon treated his wrestlers like circus animals. I mean, they were constantly everywhere, all the time. And in the beginning, I get that. If you're NXT, you're developmental. I get that sort of thing. But once you've established yourself, if you want to be able to perform at your best, you need downtime too. You need time to heal. You need time to, get yourself back together. It's like with the NFL, why they don't have as many padded practices during the training camps or during the regular season as they've done in the past. So
yeah, and it makes sense too. I mean, it happens in AEW as well. They're letting wrestlers have more downtime, and I think it's also one of those things. It's common. It sucked in the coming up of all of this where a wrestler would get hurt, and it would almost be a blessing in disguise because it takes them away to heal, but also for people to casually forget. And if a wrestler had a less than stellar angle or two, and they go away for a couple of months, when they come back, it's a chance to be refreshed, revived, dust some stuff off, and suddenly their spots feel fresh again. And it's good to know. And the Royal Rumbles, to bring it back to there, but they've definitely done some of that. It was interesting to see some of the callbacks. Nikki Bella came out for the women.
And Alexa Bliss.
Alexa Bliss.
I was not. I thought she was done. Although I was expecting, Becky Lynch.
Yeah, I mean, there was a few in both Rumbles. There were a few people where I was a little, when I saw the roster when they came out, I was like, I'm curious why certain people didn't make it in. But at the end of the day, it is a storytelling device. It is there. Some narratives happen at the Rumble and then they're immediately forgotten. It's like what spills out of it. We all know this is the start of the road to WrestleMania. This is where they're trying to start building this 2-night master card. So with the women, Charlotte Flair wins, and I guess the big story to come is she going after Tiffany Stratton, who apparently might have been connected to her prior. I didn't follow. And then she was also out on Raw. So she was kind of picking and choosing which champion she wants to come back and face, I guess.
Well, Rhea Ripley came out and challenged her and said, please pick me.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she got right up in her face. And yeah. I mean, sure.
That is a main event. That is a main event.
It would be, but I'm not going to lie. I would hope that Rhea would just break her terribly.
Well, this would be the rubber match between the two. The first time Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair met at WrestleMania, Charlotte won. The second one, Rhea won. So this would be the rubber match between
it would be interesting. I just don't know. I mean, there's so much chatter about backstage politicking and who is who,
Oh,
and
but when a
you know,
Flair is involved,
yeah. So it's the kind of thing where it's like, I want her to face Rhea and I want her to lose clean, but would I believe or trust Charlotte to want to do that? Because there's an argument going on with wrestlers who I will say are in the back half of their career, respectfully, where are you giving them something because it's a send off and you want them to have that great last memory, or should they be doing what is traditional, which is to put the young talent over, to say like, you have defeated the old lion, I am giving my grace to you now to pick up the ball. And it ties directly into like what's going on with John Cena,
yes,
who I would say, for me personally, I was kind of hoping he might eke this one out because I've joined the anti-punk train. Sorry, and don't want Seth Rollins to win. Didn't want Roman Reigns to win. So of all the people in there, I was kind of rooting for Cena for the first time in maybe 20 years, and he didn't get it. But then he like immediately, I guess, get to the press conference and he declared that he's in the elimination chamber because you can just do that. So
well, yeah, and was it Triple H came out after and said, yeah, John Cena, he is afforded the the luxury of being able to call his own shot. So,
yeah,
which is a great was a great bit when Cena comes out and says, "Well, as you were saying, I was going to come out and do this whole thing, and as he was implying, I'm here to like put over the next generation and just have fun." But then he pulled out the term "what's best for business," saying that it would be best for business if he main evented WrestleMania and won that 17th championship. So like kind of like the whole he was doing the humble pie thing in the beginning,
yeah,
but he's like, well, you know what? Now, I don't know if he came up with the idea, possibly. Triple H could have come up with the idea. They said, look, no, let's start playing the whole, I've done this, I deserve it, and you know what? Fans want it because it is peculiar that you have so many fans now who are saying that John Cena should, beat the record, which is what held by Ric Flair.
sure. But I mean, it's a record in air quotes, but
Yeah,
like, I would like him to do that. But of course, like the question is, and this is a good thing to discuss, I would think. Am I wrong here? But Gunther is like a ghost. He doesn't matter or factor into any of these conversations. I feel like the Raw Championship, which is strange because Raw is their flagship show on the brand new network, and their champion is an afterthought in all of these storylines. And I know that he came out on Raw and he tried to do what he does really well, which is like denigrate the entire locker room and talk about his legacy and how great he is. But everybody kind of knows, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Cody is the main event. Cody is the real champion.
yeah. I mean, they tried. Well, now they're doing the bit with Jey Uso. He wants the gun for Gunther, and finally beat him, which to me
But
is
do we
like,
know that for a fact? Because I thought he was going to SmackDown first to say hello to Cody.
no,
Now, I don't
yeah,
believe it. I don't buy it, but I will say
right.
this much to his credit. When I saw that Jey Uso won the Rumble, I, like many, had some snarky things to say about it. And I was like, of all the people you could choose, he's like the one that, like, why? Why would he ever? And, I guess I'm getting soft in my old age because he came out on Raw and you could see, like, legitimate, teary eyed, like, being humbled with the fans and really acknowledging like he has done something that is virtually impossible. He is an identical twin tag team wrestler who has carved out seriously, genuinely a singles career.
Yeah,
And he's believable in it. Now it sucks to be his brother at this point because
poor Jimmy. Yeah,
right, but to the credit of main event Jey Uso, him getting a little blustery eyed got to me, and I'm like, yeah, you know what, like, good for him, and he is doing something, and I know that there is a natural storyline with him and Gunther. for them to go at it, but it is something where it's like a real deft hand for Mr. Levesque. Like, hey, I'm going to get this guy over and get that night one main event to have some gravitas, and then we'll go do the Cody stuff.
Did you see the Jacob Fatu behind the scenes video?
I did not. No.
It's Jacob Fatu out of character congratulating Jay as he's coming back. Jimmy and Jacob are there, which I loved it. I thought it was great. I love seeing those bits. Kind of like I know he's a real traditionalist, but when Dominic Mysterio always holds kayfabe when he talks about his dad, like when he got up, him and Rhea Ripley walked out of his induction ceremony at the WWE Hall of Fame. I'm like, man, that's kind of okay. I know you're keeping kayfabe, and I know your father is okay with that because you grew up in the business. But I, as a fan who've seen it for so long, and I actually appreciate seeing more about the character, behind the characters, which is why it always annoys me when they have those post-match or post-event press conferences, and the quote unquote reporters ask the wrestlers things as if it's real.
Yeah.
I mean, and you've had some break kayfabe, like Bailey will talk about it like as a character, as someone portraying a character. She talks about her opponents, respectful, saying, "Oh yeah, it's so great that we were able to do this and do that, da 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 da." So yeah,
I mean, no offense, the whole notion of the backstage press conference post show should be gone. I didn't like when Tony Khan did it, and to be fair, had he not had it, Punk wouldn't have left. And yeah,
I blame Jungle Jack Perry for that.
Well, come on, there's a whole. I mean, it was a pebble at the mountaintop, and it started with the Young Bucks. Let's be honest, but like the whole press conference thing, it's weird. It's a waste. The wrestlers haven't. It's funny, for as polished a product as WWE is, they still haven't figured out how to produce that fake backstage presser, because you could do it and treat it like sports, which is what they're trying to present themselves as. But they don't know how to balance it yet. And like you're saying, you can't have half of the people kind of break kayfabe and the other half still be in character. And then in some cases, like I would imagine, like God forbid, you're going to interview the Wyatt Six. Yeah. Like have them come back and stare at the microphone or something. Like it would be funny as a throwback, but yeah, there's a reason why you don't need to do that. And it's great when you used to have like the Fink or Gene Okerlund be that backstage presence and be the journalist. Renee Paquette over in AEW does it pretty damn well. The other thing I don't want to make sure we have time to talk in.
Let's take a break real quick.
Oh, sure.
And then hold on to that thought because we're coming up on a break. So we're going to take a commercial break and come right back with the Torn Quadcast with your hosts, Elliott Serrano and Marc Allen Fishman. We'll continue our discussion about the Royal Rumble here on WRMN. Be right back.